Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss books and horror. And today, because Valentine's Day is approaching, and even though I do not celebrate Valentine's Day really, I thought I would give you some Valentine book recommendations, some horror books that in one way or another include love.
It's coffee time.
Last year I did a similar video in which I recommended you guys 8 romance horror books, and this year I thought I would just recommend you books that have different types of love, because there's many different types of love. It's not just boy meets girl. So I have today 8 more book recommendations that are about love but also about messed up things. First we have Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and this one has queer characters, and this is a YA horror book that it is really interesting. I really enjoyed the slow-paced story. We follow a kind of an island where we have a school, the Raxter School, where there are 100 girls and 20 teachers. But that is until something called the Tox invaded the island. It's some sort of virus that is causing the girls to get sick and even dying. Now this book does contain some body horror, so keep that in mind, even though it is YA, if that is something maybe that you're not comfortable reading. When the tox starts to spread in this island, the whole island is put into quarantine. So we are following the girls sometime after the tox outbreak and kind of the aftermath of what happened. I really enjoy this combination of almost sci-fi and horror, and I really enjoy to hear about all the different girls and the different effects that the tox had in their bodies. My only complaint about this book was that I would have loved to see what happened exactly when the tox hit, and you know, the chaos and everything that started to unfold, because in this book you're kind of following the aftermath years later after the talks already spread everywhere. But this is a really solid, good YA book that does have a little bit of love in times of despair. So yeah, this one definitely one that I could recommend you if you have not checked it out yet. Next I have The Boyfriend by R.L. Stine. This is really good for people that are looking for a short, quick read for Valentine's Day. And this has been one of my favorite point horror books because it was just so much fun. And it's one of those that has some interesting twists and turns, and it's gonna keep you guessing to the very end. Interesting enough, I tend to not enjoy books where the main character is annoying. In this case, our main character is annoying, but at the same time you're really invested in her story. You want to learn more, and towards the end you even start feeling sorry for her. I really enjoyed this one. It's about a girl that decides to break up with her boyfriend, and then he has an accident and dies. And after that, he decides to come back for revenge. The next book, I've talked about this book a lot, but I felt like I would be doing a disservice not to talk about this book. Also, it is a book that is still perfect for winter. In February, it's still cold in a lot of countries, and that is Let the Right One In. This is such an unusual kind of love story between two kids that could not be more different from each other. We have our main character. It's a kid that gets bullied at school, and he's not getting the support from his mom that he should. So things at home are shitty and things at school are shitty. He's being bullied. There's a lot of, you know, trigger warnings here for bullying scenes. And then he meets Ellie. Ellie seems to be a really strange girl that has just moved into his building, and he kind of wants to start a friendship with her when he realizes that she's a lot more different than he thought at first glance. We all know that Ellie is a vampire, and their relationship is quite unique. I've never seen quite a relationship like these two characters have, and I've absolutely loved them so much. If you have never read the book, I do think that it is worth your time. It's kind of chunky, but there are so many things going on. It's not just about our two main characters, it's about the town, about the people in the town, and this type of vampires and how things are described feels, you know, kind of supernatural as it should, but also grounded in reality, which is also what makes this story so much more kind of impactful. So Oscar finally has the friendship that he always wanted, and Ellie is reminded of, you know, what it is to be actually a kid, which is something that she has not felt in a very long time. Next we have Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews, and this is a book about a mother's love for her children that gets slightly out of control. Again, a lot of trigger warnings for this book, especially if you have kids of your own. It is a lot more messed up and intense than I anticipated when I went into it. The story follows a family that it is comfortable living in a nice house, but then, you know, something really bad happens and the dad ends up dying in a car accident. So now our main character, the mother, finds herself struggling financially with her kids, and she doesn't know what to do. She could return to her parents' house, but they always disapproved of her marriage, so she feels like she cannot really return there with her kids, and she tries to hide the children from them and keeps them in the attic while she's trying to get, you know, her mom and her dad to be on her good side and kind of help her to, you know, get by financially. But the longer she keeps her children in the attic, the more complicated things get. And like I said, this is a really messed up book and story, but it is again the love of a mother that in this case ends up being a little bit sick. Next we have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and I feel like this one is going to be perfect as well for people that love vampire stories, especially if you love Dracula, because this is kind of what you're dealing with here. And this is also told kind of in diary entries, which is something that I really enjoyed about the book. This story felt like your classic Dracula story, but also slightly modernized in a way that really worked for me as a lover of the classic. In this book we follow a female. We follow Constanta as she travels around the world following the vampire that turned her, and what you read are her diary entries, which, like I said, I really like the format and I really had a blast with this one. Her story is almost poetically written, and she goes through, you know, the positive things of being a vampire, but also all the negative things that come with it and the things that she didn't expect when she kind of agreed or did not really agree to this life. So I felt like it was a really compelling story and I really enjoyed it. So if you love vampires and books that are written in diary entries and things like that, this is definitely a must read for you. Next is a book that I read such a long time ago, and I really need to reread this because I fell in love with this book. I read it when I was a teenager and I was going to university, and that is The Mummy by Anne Rice. When I picked it up, I did not expect this book to be so smutty. I never thought that a mummy could be this sexy. Like, what's happening? Why is a mummy so hot? So that's the tea on the book. So it is quite, you know, sexy and smutty. And it is basically the story of Ramses the Great that comes back from the dead and, you know, has a lot of lust for a lot of things, including female companionship. But I loved how the story was done, how everything was told. It was kind of a chunky book, but I was just so immersed in this world, in the story, that I know it kept me reading through the night back in the day when I could still do that. Not anymore. RIP to my teens. But yeah, this one was great. So if you're looking for more of an adult kind of smutty horror story, this might be for you. Next I have a thriller that I really enjoyed called The Familiar Dark by Amy Engels, and this is a story about a mother that would do anything to discover who killed her daughter, what happened to her daughter. So this is another story in which mother's love for her children is being portrayed. Now, Flowers in the Attic is a very sick, unhealthy relationship, whilst this one is really a mother fighting for the truth. When Eve lost her daughter, she knew she was gonna do anything in her power to find her murderer. It is the powerful story of a woman that would do absolutely everything in her power and more to get to the bottom of things, and she doesn't care if the detectives, the police, are doing anything at all. She knows that she has to take matters in her own hands and get to the bottom of it all. The book did start a little bit slow pace, but it quickly picks up and it gets so interesting, especially towards the end, and it was quite unexpected for me. And the last one is a book that I am myself going to be reading this February, so this is the only one that I have not read yet, and that is Double Date by Errol Stein. So we follow a guy that is very popular, he's really cute, and all the girls like him, and he's very cocky, fond of himself, he kisses himself in the mirror, and then a set of twins, two girls, move to Shadyside, and he's bragging to his friends, telling them how he's gonna date both of them. So that's what I know. But I'm really excited about this one. It's also a short one that you guys can pick up for Valentine's Day. Alright guys, so this is everything that I wanted to recommend you. These are books that portray different types of love, some more healthier than others. But I hope that you found something here that you're interested in, and let me know if you love to read books about romance or love stories around Valentine's Day. Do you celebrate it? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!